Gambian president embarked on his first visit to ongoing construction site. Europe is experiencing a second wave of COVID-19 cases. These and more coming on the world today. Good evening, you're watching The World Today. I am Sohna Tunkara and now the news in detail. President Adama Barrow today embarked on his first inspection of ongoing construction of the Faraba University campus, the nearly finished renovation of the airport and COVID-19 treatment center at the Nyambai Clinic in Bakau. Barrow first visited the Faraba campus, which will house almost all faculties of the University of the Gambia, and then departed for the $20 million renovation project of the Banjul International Airport, where later on he proceeded to the Nyambai COVID-19 treatment center in Bakau. And he told journalists that he's impressed by the level of development at the center and the fight against COVID in the country. Here is an insert.
And all the I think we are now prepared to fight COVID. We pray that COVID is over in the Gambia, but you never know what is going to happen. But I'm really impressed and I am pleased and I have a peace of mind that we have space now, whatever in any eventualities that happen, definitely. They played a very, very important part. They have been our partners. We seize this opportunity to thank the UNDP, thank Mustafa Njai, thank the Ministry of Health and the technical team and you, the media. I think this will come out in the news so that everybody will know that definitely government, we are not sleeping. We are doing a lot, but the media will make everybody to know about that. You will disseminate the news. So we cannot thank you enough for the good job you are doing. Congratulations, keep it up. But we will advise the media, remain neutral. You are not politicians. You are very important in our society. You give us news, give us independent news, correct news. You see, if you give correct news, you go home, you sleep. But if you are not doing that, know that you are affecting your career in the future. Because the job you are doing will make people to trust you.
That was the president speaking to journalists during his inspection at the ongoing construction sites. Now, as of October, Europe has more than 8,700,000 cases of coronavirus, according to the European Center for Disease Prevention and Control. The 5 countries reporting most cases are Russia, France, Spain, which have all recorded more than 1 million cases each, and the United Kingdom and Italy, which have both confirmed more than 500,000 cases. The surge in the number of new cases comes as Europe is experiencing a second wave of COVID-19 infections. As a result, European countries are again tightening measures to halt a sharp rise in the number of few coronavirus cases. For example, Spain, as one of the first countries on the continent to record over 1 million cases, has declared a state of emergency and enacted a new round of lockdowns countrywide. Even Belgium, which has seen smaller numbers of infections compared to the leading hotspots in Europe, has recorded more than 100,800 deaths as of Tuesday, according to figures from the European Center for Disease Prevention and Control. Joining me on the line from Brussels to discuss this development is Anna Van Deske, a journalist and political commentator. Thank you for joining us, Anna.
Good evening.
Good evening. And now to begin with, what do you think have prompted the sudden rise in new cases across Europe?
Well, of course, being not scientist, I can't tell you what is the reason, because there is no unity in opinion of scientific community, and every country has its own way and its own insurance system to deal with the new rise of coronavirus. But also there is a lot of criticism among scientists of the exactness of the test, because there are different methods who allow to trace coronavirus. And there is a privilege among science, let's put it like that some of them think the tests which were produced officially are not any more efficient. And that's why their numbers are not correct. But I think that the biggest problem is that the healthcare is not a shared responsibility. So each country has its own responsibility, and that's why there is no united answer.
Now, how is Europe as a group responding to this second wave of the coronavirus infections?
Country has its own method, because, for example, France and Belgium, they have curfew, and people can't go out in the street. Like now in Brussels, where I am, I have to go home before 10 o'clock in the evening, and I have to stay inside until 6 o'clock in the morning, because that is the imposition of the government, with exception on people who really need to go to work, or they have urgency, medical urgency, or other social care urgency. But basically, there is a very much criticized by human rights groups measure, because there is no proof that it's efficient. And for example, in Sweden, people are not even wearing masks. So it's very diverse. The answers to COVID are very diverse. It's a disease, it's a virus that is very little known about. And that's why today we have such a mixed and sometimes even chaotic answers.
So, could this new surge in coronavirus infections in Europe be considered a setback for the continent, as a time when some countries began losing lockdown measures rather?
Yes, of course. For example, now here in Belgium, there is a great concern that many people who work in hospitality sector, in hotels, in bars, in restaurants, in cafes, and Brussels, for example, and Belgium coast is also very remarkable for number of high quality hotels and restaurants who are always welcoming tourists from different continents. But unfortunately now they all have to close down again, and the representatives of the trade unions said that very few will really survive it, because they are expecting the wave of bankruptcy by the end of the year, because as you know, there is a perspective that was formulated by President Macron, President of France, that most probably the COVID measures should stay until next summer. So the entire winter we have to live with the measures, although not curfew, but still there are a lot of restrictions, sanitary restrictions falling onto the public places, on the gyms, of course, the entire culture is now under strain. So all these people are out of work, and the question is, how long can it last? Because half of our Europeans can't be on social welfare, so it simply will not work like that.
It's indeed practically impossible for people to stay indoors all the time. But how do you think this new wave is going to affect other countries?
Well, it's difficult to say, because, you know, like Africa, for example, you are hardly touched by COVID, because you have very young people. So African population is different than European population, and namely than population of countries like Belgium or the Netherlands, because here life expectancy is 87 years. And so in Africa, in very few countries, you have such a high life expectancy. So of course, people in certain age, senior citizens, are very much fragilized by this situation, and also they suffer in a emotional way, because the visits are prohibited, they can't see their close ones, and each family bears this burden of restrictions. Even in the streets, people can't gather more than 4 together. So all that poses a very big strain on the society, not only economically, but also emotionally. And it's a very hard time that is awaiting for us. because it will go on, it looks like, until New Year for sure, and maybe even longer.
We hope to see a decrease in the number of COVID-19 cases around the globe. Thank you so much, Anna.
Welcome.
Anna, a journalist and a political commentator, speaking to us. Now, moving to Uganda, a vendor is using technology to maintain her business amid the impact of the coronavirus global pandemic. With the public being advised to avoid gatherings in markets and other public places, the businesswoman has resorted to a mobile app to continue making business without having direct contact with her customers. Other women have also benefited from the new adventure, but there are still some challenges the women go through that the app developer seeks to resolve. Let's hear more.
Joan Makoha is increasing her sales online during the COVID-19 pandemic. She's a vendor at Nakawa Market in Kampala. People are staying away from crowded places like markets to avoid catching the coronavirus. In Uganda, they are being advised to social distance. With fewer in-person customers, Makoha is making use of an app called Market Garden, which is helping her improve her sales. She sells perishables that need to get off the shelves fast before they go bad. Orders are delivered using accredited motorcycle taxis.
I'll pack your vegetables, get them there. As you know, by this time, we are not really very safe because Corona is still there. My store won't be congested with a lot of people. I'll protect myself as you protect yourself at home. So it is much better than you coming in the market.
The Market Garden app was introduced during the lockdown by the Institute of Social Transformation, an NGO in Kampala working to help market women stay in business. The vendors have been taught how to open online stores to market their products. Buyers make orders from online stores and pay using their mobile phones. The vendor receives a message notifying her of an order. About 100 women in Kampala have so far benefited from the Market Garden app. They've also been given smartphones to help them get online, but buying data is still a challenge. The developers of the app say they are empowering market women to improve their economic status.
Most women are in the perishable business, sale of perishable products, vegetables, fruits, and many other things. We've not been looking at the contributions of the market women to the economy. They have been tagged as women or people in the informal sector. But despite their informality in the sector, they have contributed and they still contribute a lot to the formal economy of Uganda and any other country in the world.
When the coronavirus came to Uganda, market women were one of the most affected groups. Many of them had to sleep in the markets due to restrictions on movements. Prices of commodities shot up because of the difficulties of transporting food from upcountry to the capital.
It really improved by then because everything was locked down. People couldn't move, people couldn't do what, yet we had stocked a lot. We had no other alternative than doing that. And these people of IST helped us and brought for us that garden hub, which really helped us by that time. Because we really did, we didn't make, although we made losses, it wasn't that much big as we thought.
With more tech entrepreneurs racing to help countries combat COVID-19, the Market Garden app is offering safety and a way to keep food in people's homes. And for Makoha, the app has kept enough profits in her pockets to maintain her business during the pandemic.
As the coronavirus continues to affect livelihoods, people are creating innovative ways to cope with the situation. Now in South Africa, farmers victims of abduction and killings are out on the streets of Cape Town to show their frustration and anger against the ongoing murder of their fellow farmers in the country. There has been a long-standing land dispute between landowners and the state. However, the authorities have vehemently denied the killings and politically and radically motivated. As they remember their fallen colleagues, the protesters are demanding protection and an immediate end to crimes meted on farmers. Details in this report.
Farmers and supporters marched through the streets of Cape Town, chanting, "The farmers are coming." They say they've had enough of farmers and farm workers being attacked and murdered on farms across South Africa.
People have been brutally murdered, and some instances where not a single thing has been taken from the houses and just been beaten to a pulp and left there for dead. And some of them being kids, being boiling water being poured over them for some reason. That must be some hate that wants to be shown towards a different race.
Our farmers are alone on the farms and they're being killed. At least every third day a person dies. And there's only about 11,000 commercial farmers. I don't know how many is left of them.
Protesters prayed and paid their respects to the victims of farm murders. And many in the crowd are farm attack survivors. Greta Peak was 6 years old when she and her young sisters witnessed their father being murdered on their farm.
My dad said he loves us and he took his last breath. We were immediately taken away from the farm. The hurt, I don't think that people understand when murdering someone. I mean, we grew up without a father. Our lives would have been so much different. The hurt doesn't go away. So we have to stand together against farm murders. We must stand together to stop farm murders.
According to the Western Cape Ministry of Agriculture, South African farmers export 50% of their agri-products to the rest of Africa. And farm murders in South Africa impact directly on the food security of people in South Africa and the entire African continent.
And therefore the President, as the chairperson of the African Union, should take note. As the chair of the African Union, he should be concerned about farm attacks, because of farm attack, a farm murder in South Africa compromise food security and political stability on the African continent.
The South African government strongly denies that farm killings are politically or racially motivated, saying that it's part of the broader crime problem in the country.
Protests erupted in the streets of Cape Town following the killing of a farmer. We will now go with a short commercial break and continue with the rest of our stories. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching The World Today, and now to the rest of our stories. Egypt and Ghana have signed a milestone agreement that could allow direct flights between the two nations. It is the first deal of its kind for Egyptian Air to explore its services in West Africa, and it is widely considered as booster for the domestic travel within the continent. The new agreement is also expected to boost the North African carriers' revenue that has been likely affected due to COVID-19 pandemic. More in this report.
It's the first deal of its kind for Egypt Air in West Africa, providing its wealth of experience to another country on the continent.
The African Airways, International Airways, were out of business since 2010, and with the credibility of Egypt Air, the staff, the crew, the ground handling, and many benefits, Egypt Air by far was the best partner for this MOU. And I guess there will be around 14 different flies from Accra to domestically within the continent, and for sure it will expand outside the continent.
The Egyptian carrier has posted losses of about $50 million a month since the outbreak of the coronavirus in Egypt last March, and the partnership with Ghana could open up new revenue streams for the stricken airlines.
West Africa was always an attractive point for many airlines to travel to Latin America and North America. You can fly only for 6 hours to Brazil, and there is lots of frequency of flights from Chicago as well. So we're depending on increasing the frequency of direct flights from Ghana and Accra to Cairo, and this will attract foreign expats to consider their holiday and business travel to Cairo instead of flying to another North African capitals and to Europe and then back to Cairo.
Besides passenger flights, establishing a viable air cargo business is a main item on the MOU. The first quarter of 2020-2021 will be the start of the free trade agreement between all African countries. This will help increase the cargo air business for both Egypt and Ghana.
Traveling back to the Gambia Democratic Congress candidate for the Nyamina West parliamentary by-elections said if he wins, he will sue the government if it fails to bring development in the area within a few months. Yeri Jallow was speaking to journalists shortly after filing his nomination papers with the Independent Electoral Commission in Janjanbureh. Here is more in this report.
Two candidates filed their nominations with the Electoral Commission on October 24th ahead of the November 7 parliamentary by-election in the Nyamina West district of the Central River region. They declared their assets, presented tax clearance papers, a sponsorship letter, and endorsement by 300 voters. Now, President Barrow's NPP party candidate Biram Sow and Yero Jallow of the opposition Gambia Democratic Congress will face off for a seat that was previously held by the latter between 2017 and January 2020. Shortly after his nomination, Yero Jallow told journalists that his constituency has been deprived of development and that if he wins the seat, he would sue the government if it continues to put them on the sidelines.
I will knock every door of the government to make sure that they will definitely respond to develop Nyamina. I'll give them 6 months, maximum of 7-8 months. If they don't respond, I'm going to take them to court because it's a big discriminator for the people of Nyamina. We've been paying our taxes, we're doing everything that is necessary. So I see no reason why they don't have to put any development for the people of Nyamina. We don't have proper road network. We don't have clean water. We do not have our hospitals is next to zero. You know, so they have to do it whether they like it or not, or else we will take them to court. The people of Nyamina are ready to fight for their rights.
The Gambia Democratic Congress candidate Jallow was accompanied by party militants as well as supporters of the United Democratic Party. He said he was grateful to the United Democratic Party for not fielding a candidate against him.
Definitely, we couldn't have done it alone without their support. This has vindicated victory already because we've already seen the crowd that we have in here. With the support of UDP, is hands down victory, inshallah. Yeah, because we went to primaries, almost every village we've got about 71 delegates. So all these delegates voted, you understand? So when they all voted, you know, thanks to God, I emerged victorious. You know, so this is what gives me the confidence that the people of Nyamina are definitely behind me and the GDC.
Esa Balde is the returning officer and the man responsible for elections in the area. As the chief electoral officer in the Central River region, Balde said it was important for the candidates to abide by the election rules as set by the Electoral Commission.
To the candidate, we are saying that you comport yourself because there is peace in Nyamina. We do not want any political discord. It is a regulated election. Regulated in the sense that the IEC is in control during the campaign process. And the candidates are hereby strictly advised to abide by the Code of Campaign Ethics and also observe the WHO COVID regulations during the process.
This by-election is necessary to find a replacement for Demba Sow, the former National Assembly member for Nyamina West. Sow died in January 2020 and the Electoral Commission was criticized for not holding new elections within 90 days. But the Commission said it couldn't be due to coronavirus pandemic. The government has since relaxed COVID-19 restrictions and have reopened the country's economy. For iAfrica TV, I am Omar Ahmadu Toure.
From the report by Omar Ahmad Toure, Yero Jallow threatens to sue the government if it fails to extend development in Nyani. Now, witnesses have continued testimonies before the Truth-Seeking Commission on the brutalities of the National Intelligence Agency under the leadership of the former President Yahya Jammeh. On Tuesday, Aliou Lowe said he was arrested, detained, and tortured by the National Intelligence Agency. More in this report.
Aliou Lowe, a businessman and a relative to the late Colonel Ndur Cham, a former Chief of Defense Staff of the Gambia Armed Forces. In 2006, Lowe was accused of helping Ndur Cham to escape from the country after his attempted coup. Law told the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission on Tuesday that he was arrested, detained and tortured by the National Intelligence Agency for 3 days.
To be while we were there, those that were in detention when the day breaks, they took us out to the backyard and they tortured us, but the torture session did not take long. Perhaps they thought these guys are already weak, so they brought us back into the cells.
Can you explain to this commission what sort of torture you received at the NIA?
Torture bobu liñ leen teachatu nonu ban façon teachatu la door la ndax lan ak lan lañ leen def.
Waaw NIA ñoom dafa am fo xamne dañ la ray yobbu ci gannaaw. The NIA have a place at the back where they usually would take you. Al ten generator bi teg la ci fofu tam ku tok ci la ko téé ñi da door ci gannaaw gi. Around where the generator is, someone will sit down and they will hold you, and then another will be beating you up. So I pipe they had pipes which they used to beat us up.
He told the commission that he has no hand in the attempted coup of 2006. Law said he was called by Ndur Cham on a Saturday morning to help him with some money for his naming ceremony, and that was when Cham told him that he was involved in a state problem, but he could not tell him because he is a civilian.
Sunday. It was on a Saturday.
Continue to tell us what happened after he called you.
That time my wife had a baby. He said he wanted to give me something for the naming ceremony. After that, he said he was up to something. I asked him, what is it? He said, you are a civilian, I cannot tell you. Wait until I am ready.
Law also said the former army colonel told him that he was very scared of the situation he was in because he was involved in an attempted coup, and that he wanted him to help him escape the country. However, the witness said he was later arrested in his house around 3 a.m. after he was reported by a uniformed man who saw him with the former CDS. He said he was brutally beaten by state agents until he felt unconscious.
So when they got in, Lamin Cham just folded his arms. Ablai Sow started beating me up. I asked him, what's the matter? He said, you know what's happening. Because you know what is happening. You cannot be asking us what's the matter. That was where he beat me up. But until when, by the time they took me out of my room, I was not myself anymore.
Mr. Law, can you tell this commission how he was hitting you?
Munga commission bi nakala dondi dori loxom wala dafa am lu jël wala nakala la dondi dori loxom dama don dori.
He was beating me with his fist. Why bin duggé ci bit pickup bi? But when we got into the pickup, guys sen talé sen fétélé len don dori. They were using their guns to beat me up.
The Truth Commission had that the beatings Law suffered at the National Intelligence Agency left him with several body pain. Yet, he was denied access to medication, his family, legal representation, and was not charged with any offense. Reporting for African News, I am Aissatou Tamba.
Aliu Low, a witness, told this truth-seeking commission that he was detained and tortured by the National Intelligence Agency during former President Jammeh's regime. Now, the Banjul City Council received a funeral van from the Muslim elders of Banjul on Monday, initiated by the late Alhaji Aliu Mbog. The donation is meant to replace the 2 funeral vans rendered importable and could not be repaired. Let's hear more in this report.
2 previous funeral vans operated by the Banjul City Council are no longer working.
The city effectively have no vehicle to transport the dead to their final resting places. It is in this regard that on Monday, the Muslim elders of Banjul donated a funeral van to the city council. Speaking at the handing over ceremony, Alhaji Masamba Job, the chairman of the Banjul Gamo, suggested to the mayor and the council to rent out the van to help generate income.
Mayores, yes, CEO.
Lord Mayor, we are pleading with you that you and your CEO make this van an income-generating one. This is because we have heard you share the challenges your council faces. I believe that the funeral van will be able to generate income that will buy a new one.
Honorable Rahim Malik Low, the mayor of Banjul, said that instead of renting the funeral van to the people, they are only asked to fuel them, and that will not change. Low said the funeral van should be handled carefully so that it could fully serve its purpose.
To put emphasis on that. More in the Banjul City Council do luas motoi.
The chairman said something that I want to put emphasis on, that the Banjul City Council does not rent funeral vans to the people. All we do is ask them to fill the van. Since this is the policy, we can change. Just because the Muslim elders brought one car doesn't mean that the city council must change the policy that we operate on. I am urging the CEO to ensure that the van is taken care of and is put into good use, because what belongs to the council belongs to the people. And the property of the people should be safeguarded. Even our religion made mention of it.
At the presentation of the van, the Muslim elders said they had mixed feelings because it is a pleasure and a sad moment for them. The project to help ease the funeral challenges in terms of transportation was the brainchild of the late chairman of the Muslim elders.
Well, that was all on the world today. Gambia 24 is up next, but you can watch our programs on www.iafrica.tv. Until then, good evening.